Just as he was on the cusp of realizing his lifelong aspiration of becoming a priest, his plans came to an abrupt halt when the observant dog detected something incredibly unusual. In due course, he would come to comprehend the reason behind the dog's interference on what was meant to be the most pivotal day of his existence. After years of relentless effort, John teetered on the brink of realizing his enduring ambition to be ordained as a priest. Doubt had haunted him at points along his journey, making this moment feel surreal. Strange occurrences peppered his path to priesthood, yet as he stood at the precipice of his ordination ceremony, his aspiration seemed within reach. The pews of the church brimmed with familiar faces of the congregation, individuals he'd come to know intimately. Beside him stood a distinguished bishop, an honored guest chosen to conduct the sacred ritual. Amidst the anticipation and fervor, an unexpected twist awaited John. Notably, John had recently taken in a dog, Lucky by name, who had providentially rescued him. Gratitude compelled John to invite the canine companion into his home. However, the rush of life prevented proper training, a fact that became evident when Lucky unceremoniously bounded into the hallowed church, a breach of decorum that couldn't be ignored. John silently prayed that the bishop overseeing the ceremony would remain oblivious to Lucky's unexpected presence. It baffled him how the dog, Lucky, had managed to escape confinement within their fenced-in abode, a disconcerting development given the unsettling events of the past months. Yet the escape route was a secondary concern. Lucky's intrusion into the church demanded immediate attention. As if compelled by a purpose, Lucky stood in the church, his gaze fixed on John. John's attempts to disregard the canine's intent failed when Lucky moved to one side of the church and began to scratch at the floor. Increasing his efforts, the persistent dog unleashed a series of urgent barks and growls. The bishop's ceremonial momentum stalled as he addressed the intrusion. John's humiliation peaked as he confessed his pup's trespass. Determinedly, John descended to remove Lucky from the premises, yearning to recommence the ceremony. However, the dog's stubbornness defied John's efforts to pull him out. Scratching, barking, and an unwavering stance persisted. Exhausting his options, John yielded to curiosity, descending to the floor to perceive Lucky's revelation. Shock enveloped him as he recognized a concealed trapdoor beneath his gaze. It was well hidden, and he had never seen it before, even though he had spent months helping out in the church. The bishop came closer, and together they found a fire poker to jam into the door and lift it up. They were shocked by what they saw in front of them. There was a staircase going down into the basement, but that wasn't the most shocking part. This was a very old church. There could easily be hidden areas that they didn't know about, but this one was a lot weirder. There were lit torches all along the wall leading down. Instead of being covered with dust and cobwebs, they were lit. The fire from the torches lit up the stairway as far as they could see from above, until it took a turn underneath. What had the dog uncovered? Should they go down and check? John knew that they had to be careful. Too many strange things had happened in the previous few months to just go in without a solid plan. It had all started when John was almost done with his time in the seminary. He had finished school and college, and he was so close to getting ordained. But then he would be sent on a mission that would challenge everything that he had worked for. There was an older priest who couldn't perform all the functions that his congregation needed of him. He had been assigned to the same parish for years, and they felt like he really needed some help. But there wasn't anyone available to go and help him. That's when they asked John to step in. He would be working under the local priest, and he could finish his training there, and then the bishop would come and perform the ordination at his church, in front of the people who would become his congregation. Many priests don't get to their own parish right away, so even if it would take a little longer for him to complete his studies, it was still a pretty good deal for John, an adventure that he was excited to take on. But things started going wrong almost as soon as he got to the town he would be serving. Securing a modest, dilapidated house, John embarked on a personal renovation project. Despite its initial condition, his skills were up to the task. Envisioning a warm welcome from the town's populace, the reality proved starkly different. The local priest's disposition leaned more toward repose than mentorship, leaving John to navigate the town's intricacies alone. This self-guided process suited John's disposition. He used the time to acquaint himself with the community and his church, capitalizing on available guidance. Assuming his pastoral duties soon after his arrival, John's Sunday services were met with sparse attendance. Welcoming gestures or care packages from townsfolk remained non-existent, and the frosty reception on the streets hinted at resistance to change. During sermon preparation one day, insistent barking drew John's attention. Following his instincts, he ventured out to find a persistent dog. This canine's tenacity likely averted disaster. John's dwelling was ablaze. In a twist of fate, the emaciated mutt had potentially spared his life by alerting him to the impending danger, preventing his entrapment within the fiery confines of his home. As flames threatened to engulf the front of his own dwelling, John readied a garden hose, poised to defend his property. However, the inferno unexpectedly leaped to the adjacent house, home to an elderly woman, her widowed daughter, and young children. The thatched roof posed a swift danger, urging John into action against the rapidly encroaching blaze. Confronted with a crucial decision, safeguard his own abode or assist imperiled neighbors, John hesitated not. Discarding personal concerns, he raced to their aid. A stroke of fortune allowed him access through their open front door, where the piercing cries of a baby echoed. Battling through thickening smoke and coughs, he sought the source. Inside, an astonishing scene awaited him. The elderly grandmother struggled towards the wailing infant, smoke-induced debilitation evident. Seizing the baby and placing it in her arms, John gathered them both, leading them to safety through the building haze. Gathering bystanders formed a crowd, offering support. With the grandmother's disclosure that others were absent due to work and school, assistance focused on her. The collective effort managed to extricate her from danger. John and his fellow townspeople shifted gears, engaging garden hoses to quell the flames. This collaboration extended beyond fire suppression as they proceeded to mend the family's ravaged home. Since that day, Lucky became the steadfast presence in John's life, gradually winning over the townsfolk, albeit not without resistance. Despite efforts to banish him, a few held on to their grudges, leaving morbid offerings on John's doorstep. Resolute, Lucky weathered the storm, endearing himself to the community over time. Now, as John stood in a packed church for his ordination, an enigma lingered beneath the staircase, beckoning investigation. Accompanied by a group of men, he descended, discovering an astonishing sight. At the base, an altar lay adorned with black candles and animal skulls. Cloaked figures engaged in sinister rituals, the very ones who had opposed John's presence. Lucky's keen intuition had driven him to intervene, leaping over fences to aid his closest companion. With unified effort, the town expelled these intruders and cleansed the church. Gradually, the bizarre practitioners were ousted from the town by the united community. Loyalty to John and Lucky endured, sustaining their roles. Over the ensuing years, John faithfully served as the town's priest, a testament to his devotion to the people who had grown to love him and his canine confidant. I hope you liked this story. Please share and subscribe to our channel with your friends and family. Thank you.